Hello, everyone. We are back. Another episode in the Design Lounge. This is the collaboration series, and it's my pleasure. What I love most about doing these episodes is Massimo, we talked about it briefly before we came on. I think in Vancouver, BC, a few years back, you're coming up the main stage. We grab you at the great stage, talk to you real quick. And so it's fun having these full conversations maybe a few years later, kind of touch base and see what's going on. I know you have a lot going on talking about the collab series, but for those that don't know you, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Well, firstly, thanks for having me here. Hello, everyone. I'm Massimo Minale. I'm the founder of Buster and Punch, which is like an interiors brand hailing out of London. We make a bunch of really cool stuff out of solid metal. And yeah, I met Brandon in Vancouver, 3 years ago. I had a little interview thing there, so it's great to be back here.
Yeah, it's crazy because anything that happened like around that COVID time, like my time is totally warped. Like I don't know if it was like 3 years ago, if it was 7 years ago. Like that 2019 to 2021 time period for me is still messed up. Like I have no idea.
Brandon, you had no grey hair then, so it must have been what, 20 years ago? No, I'm joking. You
It
look
had to
just as
be.
fresh as you did back then. But I think it was
Oh,
about 3 years ago because it was after COVID, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, no, yeah. It
Yeah.
was it was post COVID. We were coming out of it. So this is the collaboration series. You've done plenty of story collaborations. We're gonna get to some of the upcoming ones here later on in the conversation. But I think we should start there, right? What is it about collaborations? What is the joy you get out of it? And why do you seek out or not or continue to participate in collaborations with other brands and entities?
I think collaboration has been a massive part of the brand from day one. So before
Okay.
even the brand was started, I would work with friends from music or art or motorbike building or whatever it was to make my products. So our products were basically a reflection of the people I knew and the processes that they could give me or help me to do my thing. So collaboration has always been a big part of my design process. And I think we've taken that through into the brand. We only ever work with brands or people who are customers first, or friends first, or family first, or whatever it will be. So we try and maintain that really sort of healthy side of collaboration, which is the best of two worlds meeting. Normally they're two very different worlds, whether it's music and interiors or street art and design or whatever it might be. That's the space that we really enjoy. So we like collaborations where it's two people that are talented, best in their field, coming together to create something new and interesting that hasn't been done before. We don't really do it as a commercial effort. We do it more as to try and get some interesting creatives out of it. Yeah.
Totally, totally. And and talking about that, I want to kind of go back to the beginning because I was doing research. I think congratulations, last year was 10 years Buster and Punch. So congratulations on that journey since you started. But it seems like Buster and Punch in its totality is a collaboration, right? You were an architect by trade, then you were doing custom motorcycles, and that's
Mm.
really, I mean, I feel like the creation of Buster Punch was from that because people found out that you're doing the motorcycles from, if I'm not mistaken, that you had an architect background. And they were like, oh, okay, well, can you do home fashion or home interiors? And that was like the beginning of it. Is that kind of how it all started?
Yeah, it's exactly that. What I said. We've been this strange hybrid of all the things I love from the start. I was an architect by day, used to make motorbikes, and then Buster and Punch is essentially the sort of love child or the coming together of those two worlds. And we that's why we love the collaboration side of stuff because, like I said before, all the collaborations we do are with people I love, people who inspire me, people that I get creative energy out of. So we see it as a really sort of essential part of Buster and Punch's growth, I guess, is these collaboration parts. And I think you can take all of that interesting, unique energy into your day-to-day product offering, and it becomes more interesting. So we see it as a sort of source of creativity. But yeah, you're totally right. I mean, Buster and Punch is an odd creation from a bunch of different passions of mine, from a city that I love, from a subcultural melting pot of London and all the people in it that I love. And yeah, there's no different today than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And obviously, like I say, amazing collaborations, amazing products, and what you guys do is so unique. But I guess what people there want to know, because again, this is like, I look at in the design line just like a 201, right? We talk a lot of people, industry insiders, they want to know, like, they're going to aspire to grow and scale their company, like you've been able to scale your company in 10 years or 10 plus years. When it comes to a collaboration, what are the signs? What are the things to look for to know that, hey, this is a good collaboration? I know you mentioned on people that are best in their field, right? And that you have a mutual admiration and respect for the quality of work that they do. But what are some other things that you look for when you're like, okay, you know what? This is the right collab. This is the one I should attach my brand to.
I think, yeah, I mean, look, collaborations have been done to death, right? Especially
Mm-hmm.
in the fashion space. Yeah. Always the most healthy ones, the most exciting ones are either born from a friendship. So whether or not it's two creatives that have known each other for a long time and been inspired by each other for a long time, something like a Stone Island Dior comes to mind as a good one
Yep.
because Kim Jones has been a fan of Stone Island for so long, and there's a healthy relationship there. And then I think ones that are born out of a commercial aspect or brands that's trying to grab as many eyeballs as possible are always unhealthy. I won't name drop, but I remember like a Fendi Versace one called him with a
I
name
remember
like
that one.
Fendace that was
I
just
remember that one.
awful, right? So the ones where they put their names together, be careful of those ones. I think that's a red flag. But I've always loved the ones that are left field and the ones where they're outer industry. So, it's quite hard for, we're in the interior products business, for us to go and do something with another brand in the interior products business is tough because it's got more of a commercial slant to it.
Totally.
We're all drawing from the same inspiration day to day, so there's nothing
Gotcha.
interesting that's going to come out of it. For me, I like the collaborations out of industry because you're both learning a whole new thing, and you can really quickly get to the core of what makes each of your things so interesting to the other people's people, if that kind of makes sense. And it's really healthy filter. It's like the thing that you're going to talk about next with the cookware. They came from, we'll go on to that in a bit, but I like the healthy space where it's out of industry, two different industries, and you're trying to share your unique point of view with each other to give birth to something unique. Yeah, so point of difference, I think, is important. Yeah,
No, I mean, I think again, so I don't know if you know, I come from a fashion background. I used to be an image consultant. So I love fashion. And I love the fact that you say you're a home fashion, interiors company, right? Like and you mentioned, and it's funny because I have this conversation all the time talking to design and interior design and a myriad of different design. What I think I might bring unique to the table is because I come from a fashion lens first, right? But I also understand what you've actually said it, and I'm like, okay, well, if he said it, then it must be true. Fashion leads all other aspects of design because it moves so fast, even more so
yeah,
now, right? We have what 3, 4 seasons, now with some of the major brands, and even it's funny when you talked about the collaborations because even outside of industry, they don't always get it right. You think of like the Loewe and On collaboration, that was fairly successful, right? But then you think of, I remember that like the Balenciaga and Under Armour collaboration, right? Sports company and a high end design, and people are like, what is gonna why are they even collab? Like, what's the benefit? What's the benefit behind it? Again, going back to that fashion aspect of you, would you ever consider doing a fashion collab? I know you obviously work within metals, but is that something you ever thought about before you go into some other collaborations you've done?
yeah. I mean, firstly, we're self-proclaimed home fashion label. I coined that
I love that, by the way.
myself.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, I love that. I love it. Love it.
The only reason I coined it because I thought fashion is streets ahead of interiors, or at least it was 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just knew that if I could self prophesize that, and if we could bring the same energy from fashion, the high production, all the exciting people, and bring it into interiors, actually, we can drag it out of the, you know, white pages of a kitchen magazine, which hopefully we have done over the 10 years. But
Yeah.
I think going back to fashion generally, I love fashion. I love retail. I know it sounds awful, but I do. I love shops. I love fashion shops. I love fashion spaces. Um, we do, again, self-proclaimed the best metal in the world, I think, in Bastion Punch. We do, it's something that I've been into for so long. So I could certainly see us doing some hardware for some sort of interesting fashion label. And thank you for putting that out, Brandon. And I didn't pay you to put that in, but yes,
No,
I would love to
no.
do a fashion collaboration. I think
I
something
will
around hardware would be interesting.
I
Yeah,
would love that. Love, whether it's like zippers or applications, that I mean, that would be amazing.
yeah,
Bags, of course, would be super easy, right? Like a duffel bag situation or luggage.
cool. The,
Uh,
the 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 only problem with a lot of the real luxury stuff is, I'm an accessible guy. Our stuff is fairly expensive, I guess, in the sort of the grand scheme of things, but it is that price due to the processes and the love we put into the products and the materials that we use. And I think I couldn't see myself doing something with full on luxury because I don't think it's accessible. I don't think it's exciting, but somewhere a
so
little in the middle,
yeah,
something a little bit more. So your mum could buy one would be, yeah, good for me.
love it, love it. So I mean, looking at the collabs, Travis Barker collabs, Tom, you talk about the myriad of collabs. Travis Barker, right, musician, uh, amazing drummer, and then you have Tom Sellers, which is a Michelin chef, and then you have
The youngest Michelin chef. Tom
youngest
Selleck.
Michelin stuff. Yeah, yeah. And then you have John Olsen. I saw which he was like an X Games like gold medalist. But going into that, so that kind of shows like the diversity in which the collabs and what you guys do. And when you wouldn't even think of necessarily maybe, Bust or Punch a Home Fashion Line as that would be the first collabs. But let's talk about the upcoming collab with you and yourself and your company and Staub. How did
Yeah.
that come about? And talk about the process of identifying that because again, and I saw that actually, and we'll get into that to the video. You have the chef, the Michelin star chef, in the video, but it's like, how did these parts come together?
How do we join the dots? I mean, we were getting into kitchens generally. The brand was so we've got our own kitchen line now, and we wanted to work with a real traditional heritage brand. There's only a handful of those in the world in cookware,
Yeah,
and I've got a relationship with someone at Staub, so we got a conversation going. I think it's a really interesting collab because these guys are French, uber heritage, hundreds of years old, been doing the same pan for 100 years, perfected their craft. And we're this sort of young, disruptive voice in interiors, which is a different industry. But
perfect
actually,
marriage, perfect marriage.
perfect marriage, right? Because 10 years ago, if you ask someone, do you care what your cookware look like? People will be like, no, of course I don't. I just want it to cook. But actually, the way of the world now, people love
Mm-hmm.
their kitchens. They love showing all of their wares. It's not all hidden away nowadays. Everyone wants to show their lovely cookware and their plates and their cups and their glasses. So I think more than ever now, it's an interesting time to bring an aesthetic to cookware, as well as the fact that it needs to perform really well. And that's why the store thing was really interesting to us because the pans perform amazingly, and we
Mm-hmm.
thought we could improve it or at least make it really exciting to a different audience, maybe a younger
Totally.
audience or
Mm-hmm.
people that are renters or a different voice. So yeah, we thought it was a really healthy start to a collaboration. Oh,
Totally. And so, and to give people an idea, because I was, again, going through the archives, I think that you had a behind the scenes of the video that I don't know if it's been fully released yet, but it's about to be released. I know the product's going to be, by the time we have this conversation goes live, the product should be coming out relatively soon, if not already out. But behind the scenes, I think you had the music video was in May of 2023, right?
yeah.
So, what is the timeline to give people an idea of the arc of like, okay, when we start having these conversations to ideation to okay, now even the marketing behind it to the launch. What is the timeline with something like that? How does that even come into effect?
That's a good question. So I think, unlike fashion, when you're dealing with products, they take a long time, right? Because you have to test and make sure they work and everything's
Mm-hmm.
cool. Staub are a big business owned by an even bigger business. So they have lots of great people, but they have lots of people. So I think we started the conversation probably 2.5 years ago, actually.
Okay.
Um, we designed them pretty quickly. I knew exactly what we wanted. We did all the content, and the content's amazing. We're going to drop that on people in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. You'll be able to see all the
Yeah.
content. And like you alluded to, it's got Tom Sellers, a 2 Michelin-starred chef in it. It's got a UK rapper called Professor Green in it.
Yeah.
It's all based around the full English breakfast, which is odd. We'll go on to that. But the content, we actually filmed it in one day a year ago. But generally, it's like a 2 year process, actually, from like, yeah, let's do this to it's coming out.
Yeah.
which is fairly quick actually in terms of
Okay.
sort of interior and cookware products. Yeah, it's not a slow one. It's kind of quickish. Right.
Yeah. So I want to dive into the creative aspect behind it because again, you touched on it a little bit. I had the privilege of seeing the video, but again, you released the behind the scenes already on your personal page. Um, Music video, you have say UK rapper, a Michelin chef. You're in the space, but when it comes to the creative and the marketing, it seems like
Mm,
you really have a kind of like an insight on how to market. I mean, I even think you recently launched like a design series, design with Massimo, right?
yeah.
So it's like, so talk about who determines or how do you determine who's going to market it? Because again, I imagine you have your own creative force and ideas. Is that also a marriage of the two companies, or do you kind of because you're so good at it, do you kind of take the lead?
Uh, so on this one, yeah, we totally ran with it. They built the product, they made the product, and we said, look, let us do some marketing, all the content. We do think that's a space where we're really comfortable in, and we love actually. Buster Punch from the start has been a 50% product, 50% uh, brand business. We
Mm-hmm.
understand that if we can emotionally connect with people, then they're going to be more involved in the products that we sell. And this is the same case, but this was actually a really tough one because you have a very traditional French brand, which is something that you associate with cordon bleu, fine dining. All of their marketing is lovely people and lovely families sharing lovely meals around the table, and we are the rock star music video, street art, tattoo guys. Um, so I wanted to find a nice emotional middle space that we
Mm-hmm.
could really tie up our values. So I wanted to do something about the warmth of food. How important food is to people, young and old. So what we did was we thought, what's the only dish that the world know, the only UK dish that is loved and known around the world, and we fell on the full English breakfast that
Mm-hmm.
everyone knows, everyone loves it, and so we booked a greasy spoon. There's only a few of these cafes left in London, and they're like really sort of old school cafes where they just serve full English breakfast, and you get everyone from really young people to students to professionals to old people eating there. They're a real nice snapshot of the UK that's dying. So lots of people in the UK have these lovely memories of these greasy spoon cafes and the full English breakfast itself. So we wanted to try and make like an elevated version of it, because we're taking this pan and elevating it with our metal magic. So we wanted
Yes.
to do the same with the full English. So we got Tom Sellers, 2 Michelin-starred chef in to be the greasy spoon calf, which is like, the white string vest, all the grease, he was playing that character. And we got a UK rapper called Professor Green to do a spoken word piece about, what this meal means to Brits, trying to show the world what it means to us Brits and how important it is to our culture. And we just ended up with a lovely sort of warm piece that as the tagline says, full English, full bellies, full hearts. And I think for Staub, it really tied into their thinking as well around food, although they're very different and traditional, and they wouldn't think about getting a rapper and a chef and a greasy spoon, and it's a bit crazy for them. They
Yeah.
could, they really felt the core message, which was this food dish that is cooked through the ages. Everyone can cook it. My 10-year-old son can cook it.
Yeah.
Your grandma can cook it. Your professional can cook it. You don't have to be a professional chef. So that's what's it about. We have a lovely promo video, and then we also have this really interesting recipe video that is Tom Sellers, the chef, with Professor Green, cooking the ultimate full English breakfast, which is going to be great content. And then also we've asked a bunch of influencers around the world, so American and French and German, to do their version of a full English breakfast. So we're going to get some like Japanese full English breakfast, American, German. So it's going to be a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, totally. And talk about the Tom Sellers like connection because you guys had a collab in the past, right? I want to touch on because you talked about like the perfect collaboration in your eyes is two unique businesses, entities from outside of the industry that could, as a collective, bring something new to the marketplace that's beneficial to each core of your audiences and almost maybe create a new audience. But also seems like there has to be a level of trust, right? You're working with again a company that's been around 100 years. And then even with the Tom Sellers's implementation into this collab, you've collaborated with him in the past. And so there has
Mm.
to be an insane level of trust, but also it seems like you build a relationship. It's not just about let's create this commercial product. It's about who is someone that I actually really appreciate, like I said, admire their work, but also establish a relationship with ongoing.
Yeah, I think that's the trick of it. You know, Tom has been a friend of mine, a friend of the brand. Made sense. So is Stephen the rapper, Professor Green. Same with Travis Barker. Has been a friend first. I helped him do a studio, and I think all the best collab content. And I'm thinking Kiss in my head. They're
Yep.
all it's all created when you get people you know the worth of their talent in a space, in a room for a short amount of time and you let it roll. You know, it's not contrived. You don't have a big storyboard. You know, you kind of have a loose feel for what you want to do and then it becomes what it is. And that is the bit of content that we made was exactly that. We shot it all in a day. It was really fun. The guys brought their A game. You know, same with Travis. I had 2 hours with Travis to shoot some promo video and all this stuff. He was absolutely knackered. He'd just been on Jimmy Fallon or something, rocked up. It was on, and it was magic. You know,
Yeah.
and I think it's a trust thing, and that's why it's so important to work with brands and people that you have a relationship with. It's healthy. You know, you all want to bring the most talent out of each other, and the end result is always better. Yeah.
No, totally, totally. You know what? Maybe when you talk about the collabs, you talk about Kith, which I love. I went to their Paris flagship when I was visited Maison Objet last year. But I thought about Bam, Action Bronson, because you know he has that cooking show. I don't know if you
Yeah,
already
yeah,
know
yeah.
him or not, but I was like, oh, that seems like that would be the perfect buster and punch. Like usually he doesn't necessarily cook all the time, but I don't know if you've seen it, but he cooks with someone that's like a chef or a restaurateur. That seems like that would be a perfect collab as well. And he has, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah, nice.
an amazing New Balance collab. I know you rock some New Balances. Talk about speaking about the relationships you've had and get the people that you just know and not really storyboard it. Kind of pivoting a little bit, the chopper chair. You had the video with your brother. I didn't realize that your father actually created that. So can we touch on that a little bit as well?
Yeah, of course we can. I mean, my dad was a big graphic designer, branding guy in the 50s, 60s. He designed all
Totally.
the Gucci logo, the Armani logo, every big
Harrods.
fashion house. Yeah, Harrods is branding came from my dad basically. So we've had fashion in the blood, going back to
Yep.
fashion. He also had a stint of making furniture under a company called Cubic Meter, and he
Okay.
made some stuff with Zanotti and lots of big Italian brands. So I have a sketchbook that big of my dad's old sketches. My dad's not with us anymore, God bless his soul, but I have a
Sorry to
sketchbook
hear
that
that.
big of lots of amazing designs. The chopper chair is the first one, and maybe in the future you'll see a few more. The chopper chair isn't just a reissue. Actually, we tweaked it and made it a little bit more contemporary and more interesting for the modern interior game. And it's flat pack and it's a really interesting piece,
Yeah.
but selling really well. And I got to do some fun content with my brother dressed as my dad, which was all a bit weird. Needed a bit of therapy after that one. But as you've seen, it was a
But he
good
had the
one.
stash though. You said the stash he already had.
Well, he actually eerily looks just like my dad. But he was made up to look like my dad. He had the 70s clothes and the moustache, but he does actually look like my dad a bit,
Yeah.
although my dad was a bigger guy. But again, you know, getting family, friends in a room is always magic. You know, we had to cut down hours and hours of having fun for, a couple of minutes of good stuff. So that's the key to all of it, work with people you love and respect and are inspired by, and good things will happen, man. Anything that's contrived, there's so much product in the world now, too much, 10 times too much product. Anything that's
Exactly.
contrived, anything that's been designed before, anything that's just commercial or for money, it's not cool,
Right.
man.
And what the irony of that is, when you don't go after the money, what it really is about the product or the love of whatever you're doing and doing with people that you appreciate and want to work with, that's when the money comes. Like that's what people fail to
Yeah,
realize.
of
Not that
course.
that is like when that's not that that is the number one goal, but you know what I'm saying. But it's like that's when the magic happens. It exists in that space.
Yeah, the world's different now. 10 years ago when I started, it was product and smoke and mirrors. And it was fun. It was a bit more Mad Men back then.
Yeah.
But 10 years on, people, they want to know what you're about. What do you believe in? What is the inspiration? What's the process behind it? Is this real? Is this authentic? And if they can connect with all of that, you know, and the product's amazing and it works and it feels great, then that's where you want to aim for, you know, even if it's much
Totally.
less product, you know, that's the key.
Totally, totally. So obviously, again, I believe the collection with Buster and Punch Staub is going to be released around October of this year. You mentioned maybe some other products with them down in the future. I know you used to do motorcycles. I don't know if that's something that you would do again, like a Buster and Punch motorcycle. But any future collabs that we even know about besides this one? Because again, if you're 2 years ahead, I'm thinking you probably already have something in the wind 2026, 2027 that you might be able to talk about or in the beginning stages, or what can we
We're
expect?
we're doing. I can't name any names. We're doing something interesting in the tech uh,
Okay.
home sound space, and actually we're doing something with an interesting American interiors brand as well. And I said never do something into industry, but this one's a cool one.
Okay.
So
Everything you do is cool, so I believe it.
okay, cool. Yeah. So and maybe something with you, brand, in the future.
Right? Hey, like let's create some
What are we
fashion thing
gonna
or
do?
pop
What are we
up
gonna
something.
do?
You know, I don't know. Except for we talked about Lil Wayne and On, right? High performance. I love Jonathan Anderson, by the way. So,
We're
anyways, I
both
love
athletes. We're both athletes, Brandon. Maybe we can do something
right.
in that space.
We should. I just started. I
We're both
just started.
20-year-old athletes. Let's go there, man.
Exactly. Let's figure it out. We'll make it happen. Well, man, I can't wait. I can't wait for everyone else to see the video. I can't wait to watch the
Yeah.
launch. Again, I love the creativity behind it, the branding behind it, the storytelling. I love your new series, Design with Massimo, or the series on Instagram. So yeah, man, just can't wait. I'm excited. And we'll have to run this back again
Dates.
after this actually comes out and give like a recap of
Yeah.
like let people know what you're doing after the
Some
fact.
dates. I can give you some dates. I
I love
think
that.
you're going to start to see some content in towards the end of September, and then the products are out first week in October. So enjoy the content. If you're entertained, think about buying the products. Never the other way
Absolutely.
around.
Yeah. No, well, I know they'll be entertained. I know they'll be
Okay,
entertained
cool.
because like I said I've been privy to it. So I know they'll be entertained, and the
Good.
product looks amazing. Like I said again, and I love it. I love to see it. The details. It's all about the details, right?
The stuff is nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I do say myself. Yeah. Cool.
All right, boss. Well, love to hear
Thank
it.
you.
Can't
Appreciate
wait.
it.
Glad we were able to reconnect again.